I'm like, man, that's a top caliber team over there. You don't think that they know how to run their offense too? You don't think when they run their offense right and plays don't go right for the Browns that maybe wasn't necessarily a terrible defensive play? It was just a better offensive play. I thought both teams had moments where they looked good. Both teams had moments where they made themselves, or the other team made them look bad. That's what a good football game between two teams is, man. And at the end of the day, when the Browns, and you know what, as JK and I were texting, one of the things that we liked the most was how late in the game, in the fourth quarter, in the early parts of the fourth quarter, they stuck with the dedication to the run. They didn't get away from it. Go, we got to pass. We got to go. They did not do that. They stuck with the run, continued to stick with it, chipping away. You have to do that. That all of a sudden keeps defense honest in the fourth quarter of the game. And that I thought that was big too. I thought that was big, man, being able to tell yourself you're going to see panic to do there is to go more frequently. Stick into that dedication to the run, the play action still works, So, anyways, and at the end of the day, the fact is that we're not sitting here on Monday going, damn, the Browns almost beat a good team. They finished it. They made the plays at the end, and they won that game. And so there's a lot to build on right there, because I think you would have to agree. Well, I guess you don't have to, but if you're being honest, it does, to me, validate Saul in the second half of that Steelers game, because here they came out of the penance. Yes, offensively, you still have things to clean up. Of course you do. I mean, guess what? So do the San Francisco 49ers. Hey, so do the Seattle Seahawks. Teams are not finished products in week 2. You got a ton to do. Listen, this team is not a playoff team. This team is not, and I don't mean that they can't be. What I'm saying is right now, they're a 1-1 team. There's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of 1-1 teams. There's some 0-2 teams, a couple of 2-0 teams. I mean, things happen like that. Right now, that's what you are. You're 2 games into a season. I'm not doing that. I am saying that I think that this carried over a lot of what you were curious about coming out of Pittsburgh. All of us were curious about, what is that second half? Did Pittsburgh let off the gas? What is the real deal? I think, yeah, you had a little bit of that, but I think the second half of Pittsburgh and how they played against the Ravens, the second half of Pittsburgh for the Browns, and how they played against the Saints shows you a lot about both teams. And I do think, I know the Browns suck again. Wrong coach, wrong coaching staff, wrong players, wrong everything after one game of the season. But perhaps they were simply unprepared in that first half, like they looked, like they just played terribly. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying. But you got to like it. I mean, hell, we're not sitting here talking about a almost. We're talking about a did. And by the way, well, you know what? I've got some other stats and things to tell you. We can go through the game. Brian Hoyer, once again, leads another drive at the end of the game. You can say what you want about Brian Hoyer. Tell me what you want about his stats, about what he doesn't. I'll tell you what he doesn't do. He doesn't turn the ball over. He does a good job of protecting the ball. I know he had the bad game last year, but guess what? Since then, he has not thrown an interception. As a matter of fact, he's got the 5th longest streak in Browns history right now for passes attempted without an interception thrown. He will from time to time. I'm not saying that he won't, but for the most part, he protects the ball. But at the end of the day, he obviously has something in his eyes that when he looks in these guys, because they didn't believe Brandon Weeden when he said it at the end of the game. They didn't believe Colt McCoy. They didn't believe Jeff Garcia. They didn't believe none of them. Brady Quinn. They didn't believe a damn one of them quarterbacks that they were going to win the game in the fourth quarter. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to go run my route, and then we're going to lose this game somehow. They believe this cat. And now a couple of times he's gone out and done it. And I'm telling you, I'm going to say it right now. I don't care if you don't like it or not. He wins football games. He's still got to win a lot more before they, quote unquote, build the proverbial statue. I know that's everybody's favorite expression. But I'll go as far right now as to tell you, since the Browns came back, they have the best quarterback on the field right now that they've had since they came back. And I'll dare anybody to argue. Go ahead, argue Tim Couch with me. Tell me how Jeff Garcia was underused, because you don't have a whole lot of leg to stand on. I'm not saying it's a a big group to leap over, but he is definitely head and shoulders different. I saw in the chat room, I think it was LG, somebody said, well, if Whedon gets the pressure like that, because that's one thing, man, that kid sits in the pocket and takes some shots, man. I thought he was going to get taken out when he took that blast in the game. He gets up. He gets up and he goes back at it, man, and he stands in the pocket and holds on to that ball until the very last second. That's big, man. That's toughness. Guys rally around that, and clearly the Browns have rallied around him because, hey, when you say we're going to do it and then we do it, that means something. Let's go to the phone lines right here, 216-539-7535. I got time for, well, you know what? I got time for one call here before John McMullen. Caller, you're up on the Sports Fix.
J-Rock Daddy.
LG, baby. What's up, my man?
Hey, I got to tell you, you're right, man. This Hoyer is one heck of a good leader for this Cleveland Browns football team, and like it or not, it's that veteran presence that this Cleveland Browns have been missing since returning to the National Football League in 1999. Hoyer may have not been a starter in the NFL, but he still has that veteran presence which provides leadership to the offensive unit on the field. And I'll tell you another thing, man. You're right about this media frenzy and Manziel mania. Why did the Cleveland Browns even put Manziel in there yesterday at all? All that did was make a mockery out of this football team as far as Manziel's concerned. Because you've got to leave Brian Hoyer out there. You've got to let this guy, each week, I'm looking for Hoyer to get a little bit better. Was he the sharpest quarterback yesterday? Absolutely not. But he got the job done, and the end result's a win, baby. And I tell you, there's no replay on those win and loss columns at the end of the season. All you do is tally up the numbers, and you look to see if you had more wins than you have losses. Right now, he's batting .500 as the Browns starting quarterback. I'll tell you what, I'll take that at the end of the season right now, J-Rock Daddy. When was the last time we had a .500 quarterback at the end of the Cleveland Browns season? I know we got a long way to go.
He's batting 800, sir. He's batting 800, 15. Sir. He's 4 or 5. If you want to look at the games that he's started, he's 4 and 1.
No, I'm just talking about the 2014.
But I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, LG. I got you. I'm telling you, man. Like, he's got things to clean up. I get it, but I go back to what I said. He's gonna get sharper week after week. Well, absolutely. Don't forget, but
this is a makeshift receiving group that these Browns have put together. How many of these receivers did he throw to last year? Josh Gordon's gone. That was a big weapon. Cameron's out with a bad shoulder. That's another big favorite weapon of Hoyer. And you got to admit, you just got to admit, there was a lot of questions coming into this week. There was a serious question if Pittsburgh laid down in the whole second half, especially after we saw Pittsburgh against Baltimore and how bad the Steelers actually looked. But you're right. This New Orleans Saints team, you got the presence of a Drew Brees. And as far as our defense bending a little bit later on in the game, you got a veteran like Drew Brees who's been in this league for as long as he has, and he's been pretty successful. His job and their coordinators' jobs are to figure out where the seams are, where they can complete passes. Drew Brees is going to do that as the game goes on.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's not you doing something wrong as much as the other team just doing something very well, too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And Drew Brees is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And we knew coming into this game, anybody with any football sense knew to beat the New Orleans Saints, you have to shut down Drew Brees. And as you just said, the first quarter, we completely shut down the New Orleans Saints. Brian didn't even have a catch, I'm pretty sure, right?
Oh, I'm telling you.
And
absolutely. Absolutely.
Drew Brees and his guys, I mean, you saw Drew Brees on the sideline studying his iPad. You thought he was a surgeon getting ready to do brain surgery because that's what that guy does. He's going to figure out
LG, where'd you go?
Hello?
I know what happened. LG, are you there? I had 2 callers on. Now I have 0 callers on. Let's try this. LG, are you there?
To throw a few interceptions. I love this Gibson guy, man. Tashawn Gibson is one of the most underrated safeties in the NFL. We saw how he excelled last year. This guy's a phenomenal addition to the Cleveland Browns secondary. As long as he continues to make the big play like he continues to make, this Cleveland Browns football team, I don't know, J-Rock. I'm going to keep my judgment to myself until after the Ravens game, because we know Baltimore's a tough football team. But stopping the Saints showed us a lot yesterday. I really think we're onto something, and it isn't our kid, Cleveland Browns football team all of a sudden.
I agree with you, and I'll talk about some of that, but I got another call to take, my man. I'm going to jump on that real quick. I appreciate, he is absolutely right, and we'll talk more about Gibson, too. I don't know what happened. I had 2 calls and lost LG. He kept going. He was back on the other side of that. Caller, you're on the Sports Fix.
J-Rock, how are you, my friend?
Good. How you doing?
Good, Mayor Vic. Good. Hey, I'm just Peterson being brought back. A quick thought is it the fact that Minnesota's 0-2? Are they trying to do legally what they think they need to do to themselves? Yesterday on ESPN, Chris Carter gave a very impassioned NFL cleanup act. I don't know if you hear that, but I think all of these players, be it Hardy, be it McDowell, be it Rice, be it Peterson, they all have themselves to blame for the predicaments that they're currently in. I agree that due process should be observed, but until due process is observed, I think they should be taken off the playing field.
I hear you. We're going to talk about that here when John McMullen joins us in a minute, but and that kind of switches the focus. We were talking some Browns. My man, you put the brakes right on the conversation. I do agree with you, and we're going to talk more about that here when we come back. But so I'll pick up on that. But you got anything on the Browns before I hit the break?
I sure do. I think this definitely is a ray of hope, a ray of light. I think the fact that they beat a very good team, and not say somebody like the Vikings or someone. I think this gives hope to basically the rest of the year. I can't understand why they trotted Johnny out there for 3 plays. It really made no sense. I mean, Hoyer basically could have handed off as well. And the one pass that he did make was kind of a wobbly thing, whether it was dropped or, blocked or what have you. But I think the fact is the Browns have played 6 quarters now of good, quality football. And I think I would like to think that West, Crowell have the potential to be the new Mack and Biner.
Well, you know what? I was holding off on using those names, but I've had a lot of people already say that, and I hear you where that's coming from. I mean, it's easy to go crazy early, but I do like the tendency of seeing the 2 of those guys and knowing that they're both starting out at the same time together, man. You're absolutely right as far as that goes with those 2 guys, but still a lot of work. Listen, it's one victory, like I said, but I did see some stats talking about West here this morning that the last rookie running back who started his career with the 2 games like West started out was Chris Johnson and Matt Forte. So there's a couple of decent marks if you want to just kind of compare your first couple of games. Again, everybody's their own guy and stuff, but I did notice that there, and I think he's definitely top 10 in the first 2 weeks in the NFL in rushing. And I believe he leads all rookie. He leads all rookie backs. I think he leads all rookies. I'm not positive about that, but he definitely leads all rookie running backs in yardage so far here to start off the season. So, you like what you see from him when a rookie can step up and step in like that. Same with Crowell there. I like the 2 of those guys, man. But dude, there's still a lot of questions. Hey, some of those questions will be answered this week, man. That's a real deal Ravens team coming in here to Cleveland.
Well, it's imperative that we keep Miles Miles Austin healthy, because he's a possession receiver. He's what we need. Hawkins has done above and beyond